Welcome to Southpod. I'm your host, John Yarian. We are recording live from the conference. We're here at the thing, the 10th annual Dig South Tech Summit, and I am pleased to be joined by Matt Pardieck, Harbour Wealth Management Group. Thank you.
That's it. Absolutely, John.
He's fresh off stage, and we'll get into some of that in just a second. But first, you wrote a book.
I wrote a book.
This is it.
Right there.
This is the thing. Bottom line happiness, financial strategies, and exit planning for the big-hearted business owner. Matt, my first question is, what is a big-hearted business owner? What are you talking about?
That's a great question. So the big-hearted business owner is somebody who is mission-driven, somebody who is in touch with their why, their values, goals, ethics, what makes them continue when business gets tough. And it usually means that they're taking care of not just themselves, but their family, employees, charity, and community. That's what I define as the big-hearted business owner.
Yeah, and when I think about somebody who's big-hearted, that's wonderful. And it kind of conjures up somebody who's in a little bit of risk, right? Because they're maybe making decisions from that big heart. They got a lot of people who are counting on them.
Yeah.
Some things are a lot simpler if all that matters is the bottom line.
Yep.
Does that connect with the help you're giving them in the book? Is there something there?
Well, for sure. So a lot of what I talk about in the book, you've got to have profits in the business. I mean, if you don't have that,
Matt, you actually don't.
Everything else, eventually,
it won't last very long, but
eventually it's not going to last.
Yeah.
So the profitability of the business is critically important. I talk about in the book early and then later in kind of wrapping it up, how giving, gratitude, and receiving are so closely intertwined. So it feels good to give. If you make a gift and it comes back to you in how you feel and how somebody treats you, who benefits? So you hear this all the time in wisdom literature about how it feels good to receive or to give, better to give than receive. You hear about the concept of reciprocity, where if I give something to somebody, there's kind of the expectation. You hear about how happy employees are more productive. So I don't think that the big-hearted business owner is giving up a big part of their ability to be profitable. I kind of take exception to that notion. I think that a business owner who focuses on the good is going to end up actually doing better. And additionally, it's kind of cool, but the tax code promotes all of these things heavily. So I say this in the cover, but there are literally millions of dollars in ideas in the book because most owners, they don't know how to take it. They've never seen these things. They probably didn't have an MBA or take a finance class. So you can do good and be profitable at the same time.
Yeah, and I want to circle back to doing well by doing good.
Yeah.
I think there's something there. I first have to confront the fact that I believe technically you appear to be a wealth management advisor.
That's right.
And you're talking about some kind of esoteric, non-monetary rewards. We've drifted into philosophy a little bit.
Right.
Did this kind of come on to you? Did you feel inspired? What's your journey to something that feels a little bit different in this conversation?
Yeah. Man, that's a great question, dude. I mean, so it's definitely a journey. I've always been a reader of just everything I can get my hands on. And early on, I read Stephen Covey's book when it first came out.
Sure.
And he talks about 7 habits and beginning with the end in mind. And beginning with the end in mind includes getting in touch with your own values. And so that was kind of the internal process for me. I had that inside, but I didn't think of it as part of my business. And then through time, they say in my business and wealth management, you're kind of like your clients. So I think it's a good thing. For me, I'm happy about it because I noticed that my clients were just amazing people doing unbelievable things for the people that they care about. And that just became really inspirational for me. And then I started to become more aware of, oh man, this is fun. This is what I want to continue to do. These are the type of people that I want to continue to work with. And then it kind of got me to that silly thing that took me 3 years to.
Well, it's funny if you've had a conversation with somebody who intends to advise you on the management of your wealth. There's two versions of that. There's one that's sort of transactional. It's trying to get to like, okay, where do you think you're going to be, or what do you want? So I can just backfill a plan to sort of get you there.
Yeah.
There's another conversation that I think is a little more challenging. That's really trying to figure out like what does it all mean to you?
Yeah.
What are you doing on planet Earth?
Right.
And then you're getting into questions of legacy and impact and community.
Absolutely.
That second one's a lot trickier.
Yeah.
You know, that can be a lot harder. There's a little more risk there.
Yeah.
And to me is very much the more meaningful one.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's where you ended up in conversation with these folks, and then boom, you just start speaking into it.
I think you're right. I wrote first family mission statement for a client about 10 years ago. Did a whole bunch of amazing things tax-wise. I mean, you know, I've got all these designations. We did fancy schmancy stuff and saved a ton of money and made them a lot of money. But he said to me one time, I mean, after a family retreat, he goes, that's the best thing you ever did, is that family mission statement.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was,
Yeah.
you understand what we're about.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, cool. And it's fun. And it's fun. And meaningful to people.
Yeah, you're probably not supposed to say this in your field, but I mean, money's not worth that much. That's fine.
Yeah.
Like, it enables some stuff.
Yeah.
If you don't connect to purpose, if you don't have a why, there's not going to be enough money to fill that, right? You can't money your way out of that dilemma.
Right.
And so what I'm hearing you say is that the correct order is to connect with that why, orient yourself from it, and then it's going to produce a bunch of money. And you should probably figure out what to do with all that money.
Right.
Well, let's get a little bit more specific for the listeners who are entrepreneurs, who are growing businesses, who are hearing you talk about that big heart and saying, I might have one of those. What are a few things you would want them to know, like right now? What is some quick value we can deliver for them in decisions they can make tomorrow, next week, next year?
So probably just because it came off my talk that I just gave, but one thing that brings tremendous value for your family or your charity, whenever you go through an exit, knowing what your number needs to be before you go into that exit, it opens the door for other planning opportunities that can save huge amounts of tax money. So if I know that I need $10 million to take care of myself and my family, and the range of values of the business is 20 or 30, then I've got some leeway there to do some interesting things. Maybe I don't want to give up as much control so that I can leave that business intact in the culture that I created, and maybe take a little bit less to retain some of that control. Or maybe I want to start a foundation. If I make that gift ahead of that transaction, I'm going to save all the taxes on that transaction from that came from that gift. So $5 million of it is going into a foundation or another charitable cause. If I had sold that $5 million portion, I might pay as much as 45-50% in tax on that portion. If I gave it to the charity ahead of time, no tax, plus the deduction. That's a lot of money in savings, and it only comes from knowing what your number is ahead of time. So that's one idea. Other ideas, I didn't talk about it in the speech today, but on an ongoing basis, there are a lot of things in the tax code too about taking care of your employees through retirement plans. Depending upon the size of the business, you can really dial in taking care of certain people, including yourself, over and above with plan design than just the 3% for everybody.
Right.
and you can be creative in that and taking care of those that are most meaningful to you.
Yeah.
And everybody else is going to get more, and the government's going to get less.
Sounds great. The book is out.
The book is
It's
out.
available. Where can we find it? Where do we go on the internet? How do we track it down?
So you can go on, I think, all the online retailers.
Okay.
I'm part of that Local First, and so we're going to be talking to a lot of local
Great.
to try to get it through there too. But I guess how it's done, because I've never done this before, you got to do the online first. So you want to go online, you can find it on there.
That's where we want to get it. The bottom line of happiness, financial strategies, and exit planning for the big-hearted business owner. Go find it today. Matt Pardieck, thanks very much.
Thank you, John.